like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees are Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for joining for this episode of the Sports Coma. And listen, man, we got a very special guest tuning in to do the Saints versus the Patriots preview show. And this man is very accomplished, Mr. Christopher Price. He's been covering the Patriots for 19 seasons. The man has seen a lot. I know he's seen a lot, and he's also podcasting for the Believe Network, the Believe in Patriots. Mr. Christopher Price, welcome to the show, sir.
My pleasure, Big Q. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I'll hopefully we'll see if we can get something going in terms of having an exciting football game up there in New England. I know Bill Belichick is one of these guys, man. He's one of the greatest coaches that ever do it. And every time, even though the Patriots are struggling right now, I'm always very leery when we have to go to Boston, to New England, to be able to take on the Pats, man. So, I'm just nervous about that. But let's lead into it, Christopher. Let's talk about the matchup here. I know you guys lost to the Dallas Cowboys last Sunday. It was kind of a blowout game. You ended up benching your quarterback. But kind of speak to me about some of the ills that the Patriots have been going through. You guys are 1-3 right now. Kind of speak about some ills and what you believe the fault to be in some of the lack of success.
Big Q, one of the things that I've always maintained when it comes to covering the Patriots over the years is that I don't want to get too caught up in hyperbole. I always say, look, it's never as good as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is. The truth, for me, always lies somewhere in the middle. I will say this. Last Sunday, that was as bad as I've ever seen it for Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. 38-3, a nationally televised game, a 425 game on a big stage like that. That was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for the Patriots. And I'm going to be fascinated to see how they respond this week against the Saints. They lose two of their best defensive players to injury, Christian Gonzalez and Matthew Judon. Mac Jones has a horrible experience, ends up getting benched, although Bill says right now he's still the starter. That's still up in the air, really, at this point between now and Sunday. I think he's going to be the starter, but we'll see when we get a chance to get a practice peek tomorrow down in Foxborough. So a lot of questions at this point for the Patriots going into this game against New Orleans. The one thing that I do know is that this sets up to be a get-right game, really, for both teams. Obviously, I'm looking at the Saints from the outside, but these are two teams that are in absolute desperate need of a victory if they want to stay in that postseason conversation.
Oh, you're absolutely hitting on it, Christopher. Let me be honest with you. And one of the biggest question marks in terms of both of these squads is the quarterback play. Let's just be honest with you. You see Mac Jones' numbers not impressive. I could put Carr's numbers up there as well. Baker Mayfield is outperforming him statistically and everywhere else. So, I mean, that's really a wake-up call for us is Baker Mayfield. And a lot of people have Baker is this and that and the third. But Baker Mayfield put on a Joe Montana-type performance against us in the Dome on a short week and kicked us into the losing category. So let's talk about some of the quarterbacks. You just alluded to Mac Jones and his play, and you mentioned Coach Belichick benching him. But knowing Coach Belichick ability has a really great skill of making these adjustments heading to this matchup. So what do you perceive that the Patriots would try to do to try to get Mac Jones and the New England Patriots rolling again to get to the plus side of things?
When the Patriots offense has been at its best over the first 4 games, they've been able to run the ball. They've been able to get a little traction on the ground. And when they've been able to do that, that's opened some things up when it comes to play action. They were able to execute it very successfully against the Jets, not so much in their first 2 games, but when this offense has been at its best, they've been running, they've been getting 3, 4, 5 yards a clip, and then they build into play action at some point in the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And really, that's when this offense is at its best. But we're at a point right now with this New England offense. It reminds me a little bit. I was telling someone about this earlier today. The scene in Apollo 13 where they're like, "Okay, look, what works on this thing." You know, we're at a point with the New England offense where it's like, okay, look, here are the 3 or 4 things that they do well. And again, one of them is play action. I would expect them to try and build a passing game off of play action in Sunday's game against the Saints. So look. You know, they're not where they want to be when it comes to, you know, the overall offensive execution. The other thing, too, to keep in mind here, we can blame Mac Jones for a lot of the offensive ills for this team. And look, you know, that's life in the big city. The quarterback is, you know, that's the reason, you know, he's on the cover of all the magazines and everything. So, but the offensive line is really struggled with health. They haven't been healthy really probably since the middle of the summer, late training camp. Cole Strange has been in and out of the lineup. Trent Brown has been in and out of the lineup. Michael Wenyu has been in and out of the lineup, and they haven't been able to settle on anyone at right tackle. They've circled through a bunch of guys. So Mac Jones has struggled, yes, but at the same time, the offensive line really to this point in the season has not done him any favors.
You know what? It's quite amazing how similar our teams are struggling. Like you talk about offensive line play, quarterback play, same things that we're ailing from. Our offensive line, we do have the majority of our starters playing. The issue is they're not playing very well. And it's very concerning because this team been together for some time. So they have synergy and chemistry from a year or so prior. But it's just unbelievable to me that we're a month worth of games and they still having issues opening up running lanes for our running backs to operate. Alvin Kamara, we got him back last game. It wasn't effective. We thought that he would help give us a spark, and it didn't happen. So the offensive line play is a big issue. We did have some issues injury-wise. Cesar Ruiz, our starting right guard, had a concussion. He missed the game. Andrews Pete had a concussion as well. He might end up missing this game, but we kind of get James Hurst. He was on the right side. We switch him back to the left, kind of playing musical chairs with these guys. But we still it's still shaky on Derek Carr, excuse me. But Derek Carr we still shaky. They had the AC sprain. They stuck him in there. I thought that was a big mistake. I thought we should have went with Jameis, but whatever. I think when we go through this week, I believe the reports come out Wednesday, but the first reports of the week. But I don't know. I think the Saints are stubborn. Well, Dennis Allen is. I think he'll still go with Carr going into this matchup. So let's take a look at it, Christopher. Here's some of the statistics we have on the screen for both our squads right here. And like I said, it's very interesting. Carr's numbers, you can see it right there. 80 of 124 for 763, 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Not really nothing special. Jones, 93 of 146, 898, 5 touchdowns and 4 picks. And, of course, our top running back is Taysom. 20 carries, a 101 through a month worth of football. Steve was your guy there, 60 carries at 164 and a touchdown. Chris Olave's our top receiver, and Hunter Henry, the tight end, is your guys. So they got kind of a makeshift injury report. They see Pete, Debo. We assuming he'll be ready for our secondary. Cesar Ruiz, we think he might be back. And some of these team statistics, as we hit upon it, Saints have a lot of top 10 statistics, top 11 statistics in terms of defense. But my goodness, when you start talking about the offense, 308.8 total yards, 221.3 through the air, and 87.5 rushing. That's like 25th in the NFL of us rushing. And we're usually a pretty good rushing team and passing team. So it's kind of alien territory, foreign territory for us to be outside the top 15 in statistical stats. And of course, you look at your side of things, 332.3, 238.8 through the air, 93.5 on the ground. And do you see your defense numbers kind of similar to the Saints, to be honest with you, a few points here or there defensively. So, Christopher, kind of talk to me about, you mentioned a lot of stuff about the defense, you guys having problems and issues there. Let's talk about some of these statistics in correlation to some of the personnel in terms of your offense and defensive staff, if you can choose to be, because I know you guys got some of these groundbreaking or unknown players to us that we have, like a Rashid Shaheed that you might not be familiar with. He's not a big brand name yet, but kind of talk to us and kind of educate us on some of the guys you believe will kind of help you guys make plays in this matchup.
Well, I will say this, Q, you cover up on those stats that you just put on the screen, you can cover up, I think, the logos, and you wouldn't know who is who. I think your point is very well taken, that these two teams are very similar coming into this game, statistically and also from a wins and losses perspective. We talked about, the desire, and these are two teams who need a win in the worst possible way. You can see on the screen, the numbers certainly reflect that, not just the wins and losses, but the statistics across the board. Look, really for me, the guys who might surprise on Sunday are on the defensive side of the ball. And part of that is because Judon is going to be out and Gonzalez is going to be out. This is a really good opportunity for some of the younger players that the Patriots have acquired over the last couple of years, either through free agency or the draft, to be able to assert themselves. They're going to have a real chance here to step up and make plays. One of the guys who I think has been very impressive as a part of a rotation up front, he hasn't gotten a whole lot of snaps, but when he's been in there, he's been impressive, is defensive end Keon White. And I would expect to see him in there in place of Matthew Judon. Keon's big, tough, strong guy, able to hold up against the run. He can also get after the passer. We saw that a little bit in the preseason. He's going to be a guy who's going to have an opportunity to get really a significant bump in snaps come Sunday against the Saints. A couple other guys you want to keep in mind here, Josh Uche, who had a tremendous year last year, over 10 sacks. I think he's going to be counted on to raise his game a little bit. He hasn't played really, I don't think, to his potential over the course of the first 4 games, whether it's scheme, whether it's whatever the case may be. I think he's going to get a little bit more of an opportunity to get after the passer. I think he only has 1 sack through the first 4 games. Anthony Jennings, a linebacker, outside linebacker out of Alabama, who's been a part-time player over the last couple of years. He has an opportunity to make an impact on Sunday as well, with Judon being out. And then in the secondary, replacing Christian Gonzalez, it's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots decide to do, because they're going to have a couple of guys who could come back from injured reserve this week, whether it's Jack Jones. I don't think Marcus Jones is coming back, but Jack Jones can be a guy who can step up and really contribute at the cornerback position. We saw an awful lot of him last year. He played very well. Jonathan Jones has been in and out of the lineup with an ankle issue. You get Jonathan Jones back and you get Jack Jones back, well, all of a sudden your secondary is looking a little bit better. But really, for me, the guys who are going to be able to play on Sunday, Miles Bryant, who really struggled against the Cowboys. Miles Bryant's a really good 4th or 5th corner. He was covering CeeDee Lamb on Sunday, and I think that's where some of the defensive breakdowns really came. Shaun Wade is going to be a guy who played a lot on Sunday and has an opportunity to make an impact as well. So, look, they lose these guys. They lose these very important guys, Judon and Gonzalez, but defensively, there are some guys who are kind of middle of the roster, back of the roster, who have an opportunity to really step forward and shine come Sunday against the Saints.
That was fantastic. Let me ask you this, Christopher, because I know it kind of educate us on the Patriots in terms of what's the strength of this team. Is it the offense? Is it the defense? And then, of course, kind of enlighten us about the identity. What's the identity as well?
That's a good question. I don't think they have identity right now, Q. It's interesting. We always talk about teams trying to find their identity, find what defines them, early in the season. I think right now, if I had to guess, I think that they're probably a defensive team, even without Judon and Gonzalez in there. It's a team that makes a lot of plays on the defensive end. They have a lot of really tough, smart, versatile defensive players. probably the strength of that defense right now is the secondary, and specifically the group of safeties that they have. Kyle Duggar's having a really good year. Jabril Peppers is a guy who I think has a fascinating career arc. Was at Michigan, and he was the man, and he was a big draft pick, and he came out part of a winless Browns team, that 0-16 team a few years ago. They tore up his knee. I think he really kind of enjoys he has a good veteran's perspective. He's been the guy who, since the retirement of Devin McCourty in the offseason, he stepped into that center fielder's role and played very, very well. So you have Duggar, you have Jabril Peppers, you have Adrian Wilson, a really smart veteran who really hasn't played a whole lot this year because the cornerbacks have played pretty well. And Jalen Mills, I think we might see more of Jalen Mills. We talked about some of the younger guys who have an opportunity to step up. I think Jalen Mills, veteran hybrid defensive back, cornerback, safety, good coverage skills. I think he might be unlocked come Sunday against the Saints. But really, I guess ultimately to answer the first part of your question, their strength is on the defensive side of the ball. Even though they gave up 38 points last week, a lot of that was because of Mac Jones's errors, the offensive turnovers, putting the defense really behind the eight ball when it came to field position. So, look, the numbers might not necessarily bear it out, especially after last week, but I think really the strength of this team right now is on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and once again, that's another eerie similar thing that we have going on right here, because the Saints spent a ridiculous amount of money on its offense, $150 million on a 4-year contract with Derek Carr, who is a guy that Dennis Allen drafted when he was the Raiders coach. So we spent a lot of money there. We kind of reworked some deals, but we are not lacking any talent on the offense. And it's just really amazing to me how bad the Saints are. And I at first, you be kind of you're patient the first 2 to 3 weeks of the first week of NFL, first month of NFL action, because they don't play in the preseason consistent enough to build a harmony or a rhythm or synergy or whatnot. But coming into the first month of football, you would think toward the third to the fourth week of the first month of it, you started to see something. You started to see them gain an identity or some chemistry. That has not been the case. And really, obviously, to me and others, the Saints have regressed in terms of their offense, which is a bad omen for us, but good for you guys. Some of the players that I really like from our team, that some of the Patriots family members or probably for me, they know about Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Elvin Kamara, and those guys. But Rashid Shaheed is phenomenal. He's a guy that does a lot for us: kick return, punt return duties. He works the slot. Whatever we need him to do, he does it. Guys like Juwan Johnson, I call him the NFL's best kept secret. There were comparisons to him and Darren Waller. I mean, when he first started, the Waller that the first couple of years, Waller and what he could be for the team. He was banged up last week, but they expect him to play this week. So we have some people, of course, we're familiar with Taysom, the utility knife, a guy that can also get wherever he needs to get on the field. He was ineffective in last week's matchup as well. We just didn't use him around. So you guys are catching us. And I guess right now, like you mentioned, you're 1,000% factual on what you were saying about this is definitely a very important game for both teams, because they really seriously need this win. But it's Bill Belichick and it's on the road. We gotta handle our business. So let me ask you this, Christopher. Give me keys to victory for the Patriots. What they need to do to win this game.
I love this because I'm writing about this tomorrow, so we'll get a preview right now. Really, for this Patriots team, the first thing that comes to mind, they have to start fast. They can't afford a slow start. They have scored 6 points in the first quarter all season long. Not just 6 points, not averaging 6 points in the first quarter. They scored 6 points in the first quarter all season long. Now that has really set the tone for them. And in the Eagles loss and the Dolphins loss, those early deficits, they weren't able to make those up. They worked hard. They got within a handful of yards, tying the game or going ahead late, but they just couldn't overcome that early deficit. Now, look, part of it also, they were able to kind of do it against the Jets, but the Jets are the Jets, and so you take it with a grain of salt. And look, the same thing happened against the Cowboys. A slow start. They can't afford to start slow. The other thing we talked about before, they have to establish the run. not just to get quality yards on the ground and control the tempo of the game, but to set up play action. That really, for me, again, that's the best part of this offense is when they're able to execute play action successfully, and that starts with moving the ball effectively in the early going. And then the third thing is, and look, I know it's a football cliche, but next man up. You lost a ton of guys here, not a ton of guys, but you've lost some key guys on the defensive side of the ball. Now it's going to be on guys like Keon White and Anthony Jennings and Sean Wade and others to be able to kind of pick it up and run with it. One of the great things about the Patriots over the years, those middle of the roster guys. I'm not talking about the Tom Brady's and the Rob Gronkowski's and the Julian Edelmans, but the middle of the roster guys, when someone would go down, they were competitive enough to keep this team in games and allow Brady to do his thing down the stretch. So this is a team that needs to regain a little bit of that old Patriots magic when it comes to relying on the middle of the roster guys.
Wow. Yeah. Listen, you say old Patriot magic. I kind of get a little scared there, man, because let me tell you something, man. We can't have none of that magic happening here. It'll be a very sad day it'll be a long road trip back. I mean, we've had some really tough losses as of late. We made two really I ain't gonna say they're mediocre, but very normal quarterbacks, Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield, look really good. We haven't been able to get to them consistently over the last couple of games to get sacks. I think we had a sack in each one of those games. About time we ruffled their feathers. They were already in rhythm and making rhythm throws, and the offense was flowing. Defensively speaking, right now, a lot of people's counting on our defense. Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore, and we hopefully will get Paulson Adebo back, our other cornerback, with and another guy just to throw. You quite aware of him, Christopher, is Alante Taylor, who's our slot guy. He's damn good. But, we had some issues with our other slot guy, which is really our dime guy, Isaac Yiadom, who he got cooked a couple of times in a couple of these games. He was able to get an interception. But the Saints, my goodness, man, we just need to – I don't know what we need to do. We just need to go back to basics. We need to go back to fundamentals. And I think we need to start there. So we'll see what they cook up here. But my goodness, this is going to be a very important week for the Saints, man. And of course, we'll see how on the road, Christopher. We need the running attack. We having issues running the ball. We have to establish the run. We have to play defense. We can't leave our defense, out there when Bill Belichick's going to do everything he can to take advantage of them. The guy is a genius at what he does and one of the best. And that's why I'm very leery going up there with the Saints and our inability to move the ball and score touchdowns. We get in the red zone and the card, I hate to use the car pun, car stalls out. So, I mean, it's just one thing. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a part of it. But let me ask you this, Christopher. What do you think about what I just said? And can you offer I don't know if you do score predictions, but what do you think?
I think New England wins this thing just barely. I am interested in one thing that we didn't talk about.
Okay.
The New Orleans special teams coordinator has really enjoyed a level of success against the Patriots in his previous stops. And I wonder how much, if at all, that's going to play into this game on Sunday. Because as you mentioned, these two teams are very similar in a lot of ways, both offensively and defensively. The strength of the team, both teams is on the defensive side of the ball. There's some offensive questions, that still have to be answered even, 3-4 games into the season here. I have a feeling this game has the possibility to turn on a big special teams play, whether that is a blocked kick or a punt return or something along those lines. I think New England's going to win this thing by like 1 or 2 points. I mean, literally, they may not even cover. We talked about the spread earlier. It's like 1.5.
Right.
But I think the fact that the Patriots are at home, I think figures into the conversation here when you have two teams that are so similar, that are so in need of a victory. I think if this thing was in New Orleans, I would probably pick the Saints, but the fact that it's in New England, I have to go New England just a little bit. But that's one thing. You talked about being leery about Bill Belichick and what he can do and how much of a genius he is.
Right.
I think New England, you're a little bit leery of what New Orleans is able to do, not just on defense but on special teams. So I guess ultimately, short answer to your question, I think New England wins this thing. I'm going to say like 21-20. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints are in this thing for like 59 minutes and 15 seconds. There was a game up here last year where Marcus Jones won it on basically a walk-off punt return with no time left on the clock against the Jets. I have a feeling, like I said, that, this is going to come down to special teams, and I think the Patriots are a little bit leery, but I think New England's going to have just enough to come away with a win in this one.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that, but I appreciate. I'm pretty sure your readers would love. Yes, let's get back on the play.
After last week. I picked. I fully admit to this. Full disclosure, I picked the Patriots to beat the Cowboys last week, so I'm eating a little bit of crow, this week up here, both online and in the newspaper. So maybe it's not just a get right game for them, but it's a get right game for me too.
Yes. You riding with the team, man. You're a diehard, man. You're a professional. So you got to you live and die with the Patriots. I understand. Trust me, my friend. I've been doing this. I've been with the Saints, riding with Saints for over 30 years. So yes, indeed. Hey, man, listen, this is Christopher Price, man. You can understand the man is very intelligent, covering the Pats for 19 seasons with the Boston Globe. He's on the Believe Network. Hey, Chris, please tell them where you can be found, my friend. Let them know your socials.
You can read my stuff at bostonglobe.com. You can follow me on Twitter at CPriceGlobe. That's CPRICEGLOBE. Thank you very much for giving my Twitter feed a little love there. You can also listen to me every week, me and former Patriots wide receiver Chris Hogan. We host the Patriots Report on the Believe Podcast Network. So you can find that. You can, I have a link on my Twitter page, but it's a lot of fun covering this team, man. I'll say this, even after what happened last week, the great thing is, as a reporter and a media member, and you can speak to this, it's never dull. This team is always interesting. There's always something to write about. It's never dull. It's always fun.
Hey, man, thank you for chiming in, man. And it's going to be an exciting game, man. Y'all check out Christopher Price's podcast and hit his Twitter up, man. He's a true professional, man, very intelligent about his Pats, man. And we support guys that are true professionals and are serious about what they do. So listen, that'll be the end of the stream. We'd like to thank Christopher Price for joining us on this episode of the show. Y'all feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and by all means, sharing is caring, man. That means share that link. Yeah, you want to say something, Chris?
No. I'm with you 100%, man. Hit that like button. All in, baby. I love it.
Right. There you go. All right. So y'all, thank y'all for being here. We're going to holler at y'all on the flip side. Chris, I hope everything works. We're going to have an entertaining game. I hope we win. I'm really kind of shaky on it. So I know for one thing, it's going to be an entertaining game in New England. So that's going without saying.
I hear you, Q, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Hopefully we can hook this up sooner rather than later.
Right, that we will, my friend. I'm going to contact you. Thank you. And y'all have a good one, and bless you, and we'll see you later. Who that?
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL. When things seem fishy, and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.